What's up, guys? It's Wednesday, it's the morning in some places, and it's SJU here on Fandom Entertainment. I'm Joe, Ed, Dan, Danielle, who's got a great new look described as...
Is that I look like every lady superhero protagonist in a CW show when she's at her day job.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And speaking of CW superhero shows, we're talking a little bit of DC today. There's some rumors of problems going on with their streaming service. There's some big casting rumor possibilities that just broke, so we're going to chat about those. We're going to get into that final X-Men Dark Phoenix trailer. We've got a Writers Guild update. There's Knights of the Old Republic things happening. We got a lot to talk about. Strap in. We're not leaving for 3 hours. So I hope you guys ordered lunch. Because I'm not letting you leave. Yeah. So let's jump into it. Story number 1, Swamp Thing has halted production. This is via Slash Film and our friends at Collider. So production upheaval on the set of Swamp Thing might mean some changes for the DC Universe streaming service. A local outlet in good old North Carolina, never underestimate the power of local news. That is where the show is filming. They've reported that production has suddenly halted after only 10 episodes. So while this is being reported, Warner Brothers has yet to officially comment. However, the news seems to have been confirmed by at least one cast member of Swamp Thing, Virginia Madsen. She stars in Swamp Thing as the antagonist, Maria Sunderland. She referred to the sudden Swamp Thing production shutdown in a now deleted Instagram post, which probably means it's very true. Yeah. Her reps definitely reached out real quick and said, no. She said, is that Gak? Sorry. I'm beyond sad. What a terrible decision. We have been cut to the core by those who have never set foot into the swamp, capital S, and despite the rule, I am going to use the hashtag Swamp Thing.
That is a very poetic telling off.
So, crew, well written. I wish all of my screw yous were quite that nice. So the crew shared the information, said they were told it was because Warner Brothers is assessing the future of the DC Universe streaming service. The plan is to now rewrite the final episode to provide a satisfying conclusion instead of sticking to the original plan to carry the story across 13 episodes. It's possible this is just isolated to Swamp Thing and that higher-ups were just, unhappy with what they were seeing in the show so far and are cutting their losses and moving on. But with Disney kicking into high gear, Apple, the streaming war shots are fired, and it might also be that Warner Brothers is kind of looking to kind of say, okay, how does this stack against the infinite money Disney's burning?
Yeah, these shows are not cheap. These are not, this isn't like with Daredevil where you spend a lot of the money on the suit and then other kind of action-y things, but it's really just a guy fighting a series of hallways and alleys. Swamp Thing would be an expensive show to make.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of rampant speculation about is the DC Universe in trouble? I don't think it is. This is just my thinking.
Sure.
I doubt that it is. It only launched, 6 months ago. Warner Brothers is not going to pull the plug after 6 months. And the one thing that you cannot do if you're a DC Universe is pull back on content, because then you're definitely going to fail against Disney. So this reads to me like they weren't happy with the show, maybe some element of the show, how it wasn't turning out, and instead of pumping a lot more money into something that they didn't necessarily think was going to succeed, they said, you know what, this is an expensive venture, we're going to take this money and we're going to reallocate it and wrap this up instead. So it sucks because I don't know, I have a personal conflict of interest because Derek Mears, who is playing Swamp Thing, is someone that I've known for quite a while, so it's hard for me to separate analyst Dan from that sucks, my friend.
That was big
I like when my friend can pay rent.
I like when my friend can pay rent, and that's such a cool thing that he gets to do. So it's like I'm like torn in between, but in the middle, I think it meets to where I just think that it's not a thing of like, oh, they're in trouble and they're cutting back. It's like they are realistic. Maybe this isn't pushing whoever's the right person's buttons, and you can't just spend heedlessly. And I think they see the shape of things to come. It's like, we're going to need this money somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's disappointing because I was really, really looking forward to this show. Yeah. But if it turns out that it was not going to be as good as maybe it could or should have been, then maybe it's good that maybe they can try again later.
Well,
you know?
it's just like a kind of a real blow to like the whole mystical aspect of the DC universe, because he's like represents like the nexus of realities, and this swamp has this, multiverse situation going on with it. And
the mystical parts of the DC universe
you know.
always get kind of like shunted aside. That's why I was happy that Shazam did so well.
Yeah. And for everybody in the chat, I talked about magic positively. Boom. I talked about magic positively.
I just punch you as hard as I can because you are clearly not my friend, Ed.
And
There's scrolls.
Like, I know that a lot of the sources of the DC universe being in trouble, they're talking about the future comes from the crew. But if you've ever been around a crew, you know that information and misinformation runs like wildfire. And like, you cannot trust anything you hear on a film set because it's repeated 5 times over from who knows what source. It's early on. There was a report from CBR that said that they had talked to someone at Warner Brothers that said this was a creative decision. This was not related to any problem with the DC universe and as a whole. So
I was at Drink and Draw last night, and I was talking to some comic creators and stuff, and I said something. I said it seems like the funny thing is we get into this loop. Derek Robertson was talking about there's a loop of Marvel and DC battling each other and never quite being able to transcend, because like all the stuff that we like now in comic book movies is stuff from the 80s. If you think about it, it's like we're worshiping disco. You know what I mean? And that's that's the way that we think of ourselves.
Come on,
like,
Dazzler.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like these companies, Marvel and DC, are beta testing for each other. So DC beats them to the streaming wars and starts messing up a little bit. Titans was like kind of like people are like, I don't know if I like this that much. Then Doom Patrol comes out, people kind of like that. Swamp Thing maybe isn't quite as good as Doom Patrol maybe, or something in their corporate mind, yada yada yada. And then Marvel gets to come in and go, oh, all right. Check out all this excuse me. Check out all this $100 million.
You said
Check out all this $100 million streaming stuff. We smacked you up, ha ha ha. And it's like they got to see a dry run of how to do a streaming service through DC. And as far as superheroes,
I'm so not on board with this whole Marvel DC rivalry. Like, this is just me, but I honestly don't think anyone at Warner Brothers gives 2 flying Fs about, other than just the pure statistical what the money is. Like, I honestly don't think that they're plotting and scheming like, well, Marvel's canceled Daredevil, now is our chance to rise. Like, I honestly don't think they care. I hope it's just money. What Marvel's doing, and vice versa.
I think it's just about money, and I think it's just about like your market share. You do have to worry about your market share when you understand that there is a market. So I don't think it has to degenerate to some venal Redskins versus Cowboys crap, but it is there as far as a market.
We almost lived in the DC versus Marvel Goes to War timeline when Batman v Superman and Civil War were slated to open on the same weekend, and in a weird Rick and Morty universe, yes, that happened. But I think at this point now they are 2 corporate entities with respective intellectual properties that I think people put way too much stake into the fact that the other one is watching what the other one's doing. I think they have too much trouble watching what they themselves are doing.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
So, Rickley, and I apologize, I'm just sort of trying to... some of this is sort of updating as we're talking about it, so I'm sort of scrolling through to make sure I'm not missing anything. Also, I'm just scrolling Instagram. Another wrinkle in this is, there is going to be a larger Warner Brothers streaming service. Is Warner Brothers going to consolidate, I suppose, at some point? If Disney Plus is going to be, here's everything, is Warner going to have to answer in kind and say, okay, well, DC Universe is a part of this, you get Friends, you get this?
I think for anyone, that's the way that you're going to be able to, because again, I've talked about it before, this is the new cable wars where we all we're cutting cords and we're saving money, and now everyone is demanding our money from us again at $10 to $7 at a time. You really have to be able to, if you're not putting out everything that you can put out on your platform, you are leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
You have to.
Sort of looping back to Swamp Thing, I apologize. So sticking with their May 31st premiere date, the show's not being canceled or anything like that. So I agree with you, Dan. I do think that this is just sort of a matter of we made a show, ends up we don't quite like what we're seeing, so we're gonna wrap this sucker early.
Or it isn't cost effective to do this particular story at 13 episodes. I think it's quite dangerous for us to contribute to maybe it's bad. They could have just decided that it's better for a 10-episode thing, which is beautiful. I wish Netflix would do that.
I was literally just about to say that. There are so many shows that I have seen on Netflix that are 13 episodes that I would have been perfectly happy, in fact, happier with 10. For sure.
No, absolutely. Sort of moving on to some other DC news. This dropped like as we were counting down to go live. And this is Viva Variety. John Cena is being eyed for a spot in the Suicide Squad sequel. Danielle?
Yes, thank you, Variety. Breaking news updates on my phone. So sources tell Variety that Cena is in talks to board Warner Brothers' follow-up to Suicide Squad. Already stars Idris Elba and Margot Robbie. It is still unknown who Cena and Elba will be playing. And they are described in the picture. The team of supervillains is reassembled to stop a major threat. And a lot of this is stuff that we already knew. Warner Brothers has no comment. This would be John Cena's first comic book role. Obviously, after WWE, he's done a lot of big movies like, he did Blockers, which did very well. He did Bumblebee. And I guess he's recently was tapped by fellow WWE alum Dwayne Johnson to star in the Jansen Directive and is also on board to top line the Paramount Players comedy Playing with Fire. And he's also going to be in like a Dr. Dolittle thing starring with Robert Downey Jr. and Selena Gomez. I don't know, man. He's real busy.
I'm going to throw it out there. I just want John Cena to be King Shark.
King Shark!
I want him to wear a practical shark suit. And that's what I want. That's in jorts, and that's I think all I want.
They're talking about who Idris Elba would be. I want to be Bronze Tiger. I think that'd be cool, like a kung fu guy after he finishes beating Jason Statham in the Rock Up.
Yeah,
and he comes into the DC movie and he's whooping people's ass. I think people would accept that.
Yeah. That way, also, if we get like a Crisis on Infinite Earths DC, you get Michael J. White's Bronze Tiger beating up Idris Elba's Bronze Tiger, and I'd watch that movie.
Yep, there
I'd
you go.
absolutely watch that movie.
I don't know. I don't see John Cena in this role. I was full disclosure, that is recycling. I used that joke before we came on the air. And I mentioned that my functional zero knowledge of wrestling, John Cena is so popular that even I know that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and what's great in John Cena is you do get someone who can do comedy as well as they do action, so he could be anyone. And as I do with every casting announcement, and we'll continue to do until we know who people are, I hope he's Catman.
Oh, yeah.
What if they're all Catman?
Yes!
Idris Elba's Catman.
Crisis on Catman
John Cena's Catman.
And then we have Danielle's ideal Suicide Squad.
Will Smith comes back as Catman.
Margot Robbie is not Harley Quinn, she's actually Catman. Yes, please, all Catmans.
Yep. I'm into it. I think especially with, at this point, this is still a James Gunn directed movie, and I'm into a John Cena directed by James Gunn.
Well, he knows how to direct wrestlers.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
A, this is very true, and then B, I don't know, there's just something fun and silly about Cena. He's great in Blockers. He's really fun in Trainwreck, like the Amy Schumer movie. Like, I'm excited to see what he does.
I mean, we could see Russo's taking over Captain America level upgrade in Suicide Squad with James Gunn directing, with all the, like, he knows how to wink but still make you think the events that are happening are cool and important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he can wink and keep stakes. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think this continues to build up to be a cool cast, and I think it ends up just all being in the execution and not letting a trailer house edit your movie.
Man, good for John Cena. Right? He went from them jorts and that stupid spinning belt, and look at him now.
Look at him now.
His title belt was a spinner, like back when spinners were popular in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing you've ever seen.
And then further on, when everyone had forgotten spinners.
Yeah. I could never insult another man's championship belt. That's just...
Okay, that's true.
Sorry.
I appreciate the ethics.
That's a champion etiquette over here.
I
It's
appreciate
the
it
unwritten
about
code
you.
of two championships that are not on the same level at all.
Absolutely appreciate it about you, though. No, I think he's a great actor. Look, I finally saw Bumblebee updates.
Yay!
I finally saw it. It's very fun. It's very silly and ridiculous too.
I know, it's the
And
greatest.
it speaks to the charisma and likability of John Cena that at the spoilers for the end of Bumblebee, he can just dramatically salute Haley Steinfeld in Bumblebee.
He salutes a robot.
And I was like, yeah, man. I was absolutely like, cool.
Did the first 5 minutes make you poop your pants?
A little bit.
I thought so.
Yeah, a little bit. I did get a little poopsies. Just a little bit poopsies. Guys, do you want to get a little bit poopsies on a daily basis? make sure you subscribe to Fandom Entertainment. SJU is our morning show every morning. It's The View, but this. And we got a lot of other cool shows every week. Charting with Dan is one you should always check out. Panel to Screen, Origins of, our documentary series, Fandom Uncovered. Reviews. Lots of cool stuff, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit whatever bells need to be hit. And again, just continuing to get the messaging out there, because a lot of people were kind of like, wait, what's happening when we did our brand switch? We didn't message it too well to you guys. That's on us. We apologize. We named the channel Fandom Entertainment now. A company called Fandom bought us. They're why we still exist, so be kind to them and thank them. They said, how do you want to do this? And we said, this is how we'd like to do it. So, guys, we're in the driver's seat. We're making our own destiny the best way we possibly can. We're stoked that they're allowing us to do that. We're stoked that you're still here and no longer confused as to what Fandom Entertainment is. It's us, same shows, same stuff, different colors, a couple more shapes in the intro. Welcome to the show.
Sometimes I write things on the internet.
Yeah, sometimes Danielle
works.
write things on the internet, and sometimes we'll tell you to go read those things.
I love your miming of typing. That's so not ergonomic.
That is how she does it, though.
Yeah, my T-Rex arms.
Yeah. We got a little bit of a WGA update. We talked about this yesterday on the show, the Writers Guild of America, and the organization that sort of collectively represents most of the agencies in Los Angeles are going to war. If you wanted more of a deep dive into that story, check out yesterday's episode where I tapped out on hosting. Spencer took over, and Dan really took us on a really strong tour of like what exactly was going on. But we have an update today. Dan Murrell.
That's right. This also was breaking. The WGA, we mentioned that a court case may be looming. Well, the WGA has, in fact, filed suit against the four big agencies, CAA, WME, ICM, UTA, and they're going hard. They are suing the agencies, saying that these packaging fees, which we talked about very briefly, agencies more so in the last decade or so have been negotiating projects for themselves instead of necessarily on behalf of the writers. They will bring a project to a studio and sell it. That's called a packaging fee. That way, when the project makes money, the money goes to the agency directly, not necessarily to the writer. Long story short, you can watch yesterday's episode. But the WGA has taken the agencies to court, saying that these packaging fees are illegal. They say that they violate state fiduciary duty laws, federal unfair competition laws, and they said that the suit also cites Taft-Hartley, which is like mafia stuff.
Wow.
It says that it violates the anti-kickback provisions of the Taft-Hartley Act, which says that an employee cannot receive, representatives of an employee cannot receive money from an employer. And there's a quote from one of the people who filed the suit that kind of puts this packaging thing, the writer's side, the grievance, into a much more clarity than I could. This was on behalf of a TV show creator for Cold Case. This is the quote they gave. Quote, when the show was sold, CAA negotiated a packaging fee for itself without my knowledge. It wasn't until 6 years and 134 episodes later that I learned about it. It turned out that on the show I worked on exclusively for years, CAA ended up making 94 cents for every dollar I earned.
Jesus.
That is indefensible. An agency should not make 10%. An agency should make 10% of what a client makes, not 20, not 50, not like in my case 94%. 10% is enough. So this is where this is the divide. So we've talked about the fact that this is going to be a very, very long conflict, and in fact, the WGA has basically not just gone with their symbolic stance. They have now filed legal suit against the agencies, saying that what they're doing is illegal. So if there was any hope that this was going to resolve quickly, I think that is now out the window. And Deadline ran a report yesterday that said that the WGA has claimed that thousands of writers have already fired their agents. So
Except that the slap guy.
Except the guy who
created the slap. Yeah.
Who
that magnificent piece of television, the slap.
Yeah. A lot of I've seen a lot of writers sort of stand up and speak specifically to that, and I have to look. I might just be a lefty unionist commie, but I agree that yes, this is a very uncomfortable, awkward, potentially not dangerous. Dangerous might be a bit too big of a word, but you know what I'm saying. This is this is a rock and a hard place for a lot of writers. Like, people have established relationships with their agents, with their managers. They've worked together. Like, they had their, not all agents and managers are like, yeah. Like, some of them are just like,
well, and not all agents and managers meet like, hey kid, you got something? Let me put you in my pocket.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, yo man, we're eating these ramen noodles, bro.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
and then you rise up.
Or
so.
the fry cook at McDonald's has no bearing on like what McDonald's the company does, and if you're the fry cook at an agency, like. What power do you have?
The underlying conflict of interest being that writers are saying that if there is a show like the one that was mentioned in the press conference, that an agency is making 94 cents on the dollar that a writer is, that if a network were to go to that agency and say, you need to negotiate down the writing fees for your clients or else we're going to cancel the show, the agency is in a financial position to continue to make the same amount of money if they can negotiate a lesser amount of money for their clients. That is the potential conflict of interest that the WGA is claiming.
And we'll never hear about it, but there's no way that hasn't happened.
Right.
We'll never hear about it.
Well, I mean,
just speculating.
Well, like we talked about at the very beginning of this story, there were cases where people were kept on as sort of staff writers and not bumped up because that would raise them into another bracket, violate their tacit agreement with the agency to only have your staff come in at this rate. That was already happening. That affects people like way more on the level of the people who want to write at this table. You know what I'm saying? That affects us way more than these huge deals. So it's like it's stem to stern affecting writers.
Yeah.
No matter what class you are. So
and I think I found that fry cook thing, and I was like, I like this, and so I went that way. But where I was going was, you can't, if you're in a union, you can't enjoy the insurance, the deals they help you. You can't enjoy all the benefits and safety nets of being in a union. And then, the moment, this is uncomfortable for a lot of people. But the moment it gets uncomfortable, you can't just be like, sorry, WGA, but like, you eat at that buffet all the time.
What about my ramen noodle story? That doesn't move you. No, because the larger thing is
exactly.
And there was 5% of the voting members of the WGA. They took a WGA vote prior to this action happening, saying basically, do you authorize to do this, to push for this? And 95% of the people that voted did authorize it. But keep in mind that there were 5% of those writers who did not. Who said, no, I do not authorize this. So that's another penny, is how many of those writers are anymore going to openly defy the union and say, I'm not going to fire my agent. That would certainly strengthen the agent's side and weaken the WGA side. And then you talk about what's
the power of a union?
This is all going to be pretty crazy.
What's going to be the effectiveness of these WGA staffing hashtags that are going on?
I know it's very wonky. I went back and almost never rewatched the show, but I was going back yesterday and I was kind of zooming through, and I saw during my explanation a lot of people with the Z symbols and like, this is boring, I'm out. Like, I understand it's very wonky, but I think part of what I like about the show is it affects every single thing that you love. This may seem very inside LA, but like,
hey guys, you like Marvel?
Like, the longer this goes on, the more you can see these ripple effects going out to projects that you know.
I will, like, you guys y'all take your medicine. Like,
look, the last major strike we got, didn't that give us like all these 12 seasons of Big Bang Theory or something like that? So we just gotta look. There are real life consequences. I
will,
like Big Bang Theory sometimes, but
I will never not talk about this stuff or give creators credit where they're due. Like, you can be a machine that gets pumped about IPs and also be a human being with a brain at the same time. And it's important. It's really important that we do that.
People make shows is the bottom line. And like, when you don't respect what's going on with the people who are making your shows, then you're disrespecting the wrong thing. You're like, it's like in sports when they say you're rooting for laundry. You're just rooting for the colors of the team. You don't care about who's on it. You don't care about the management. You don't care about what's going on. You don't care about the players, certainly, because they're just a bunch of, deck chairs to you. no, it is a real human story, and I'm glad that we're covering it.
Yeah, we can go frame by frame and react to every second of the new Star Wars trailer, but you've also got to remember the amount of people that went into making that trailer.
Yep.
Shout out Keith Grips. Shout out Keith Grips.
Keith Grips? Best boys?
Best boys?
It's important, man. Like, this stuff's important. And, this is interesting to me. This is another... There are so many... In the entertainment industry, there are so many industries built around it. Predatory is too strong a word, but there are so many industries built around the entertainment industry that are just there to make money off of the process of the entertainment industry. And they range from, this is the way it is, and this is pretty legit, to they're just doing this until somebody notices. A couple, it used to be for actors, the gatekeeper-y way for actors to get auditions that weren't necessarily like getting agents out the gate were these like casting workshops where it's like, hey, pay us $50, you can come do a monologue or a scene in front of a casting agent, and maybe they'll give you an audition someday. And there was literally a sting operation to prove that those were horribly illegal and predatory, and that entire business and pipeline is different and changed now. And I'm just fascinated to see, these were like middlemen, these were like gatekeepers. Like, are agencies going to have to evolve or find themselves realizing that like a hashtag can do our job? I'm really fascinated to see how all this stuff moves forward.
If nothing happens, then who knows? The writers, like we said yesterday, this is not a labor issue in the sense of like there's no work stoppage happening,
Right.
there's no strike going on, but if things continue to devolve, I'm not saying that a strike would happen, but like this is the sort of opening salvo that can often presage an even bigger thing. What if the actors join in solidarity with SAG? Now SAG and the WGA against the agents, and then if the actors are joining in, let's say 6 months down the line, the same thing happens with actors. They're like, we're with WGA, we're going to fire all of our agents. Well, that becomes a massive deal. Again, not saying that happens, but I'm saying it's important to keep track of these things because this is the sort of thing that can snowball into a much, 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 much bigger deal. Or the two sides meet at a court somewhere and they figure something out. It can happen both ways, but I think it's important to keep track.
I think it ends up happening like that, but after a long, protracted
It's going to be
fight.
very long. Protracted.
Yeah, this is gonna take a while. Let's we got a couple more things to talk about. The final X-Men Dark Phoenix trailer dropped this morning. Again, that releases on June 7th of 2019. Reaction to the last trailer was pretty mixed, but there's been a lot of positive buzz coming out of WonderCon where they showed new footage. You guys watched the trailer. I have not. So I don't know. Thoughts on this guy? I'll let you guys lead this conversation.
It was the third trailer.
Yeah, you know what? I liked it better than I liked the first trailer or the other trailers we've seen. Mystique still that makeup. It's really distracting. That's clearly just like throw some stuff on her and get her in the chair so she can go home. Sophie Turner is amazing. Like Sophie Turner she is a star. She is great in that. I got some of the space stuff I wanted, so yay, space stuff. And, there is a mysterious blonde.
Perfect.
And also, we'll get the Quicksilver scene that we know that we're going to get in every movie. We're going to get a really cool Nightcrawler scene. So those are the things that we know.
Okay. Did you watch it?
Those are the things that we know. Yeah, I watched it, and the thing that I liked about it was it added that weird space element of Phoenix, because I felt like before it was like they were just gonna have Jean Grey just start flipping out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, the reverse exorcist or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't like that. But the fact that it's related to an adventure and an alien entity seems to kind of, it seems like she gets sort of infused with an alien entity on a space adventure. So it's the graduation of them going from Earth to go to space and do stuff. As an X-Men fan, I always love that stuff. Like, how long could Colossus survive in zero G? Oh, yeah. That whole thing. So yeah, you get some of that. You get the alien infusing her with the stuff. So I felt like that story point was cool, and I felt like her smacking up Magneto a little bit shows her power level.
Yes.
I thought that was a nice little piece.
Although it was weird for me to see in that clip we just showed. It was weird for me to see Magneto dodging that metal helicopter blade. That's like seeing Superman dodge a bullet. Like, it's just like, no, man, you got it. Don't worry about it. You got this. You don't have to dodge it. You're fine.
You're absolutely
if
fine.
a piece of metal hit me, you better wake up and apologize.
You're okay, man.
Why didn't you just grab it?
I don't know. Maybe that's not metal or something. I don't. Who knows?
You know, I
Polycarbonate
Real
fibers.
stupid when it's plastic.
I don't know what footage got screened at WonderCon because, admittedly, and put the big asterisks on me because I like about 15 total minutes of most all of the X-Men movies combined. But I do know, you know, in terms of like positive footage showing for WonderCon, there are at least 2 cool scenes in every X-Men movie surrounded by a lot of like, and I'm hoping that, you know, because I always want movies to be good.
Yeah.
It's a bummer to like walk out of something and be like, oh. So I always want stuff to be good, but I'm curious if like the WonderCon footage is like, we gave you your Quicksilver and your Oval Office attack with Nightcrawler and get out of here, kids. You know,
Go over to go get some more pups.
yeah. So yeah, I want these to go out on a high note. New Mutants is supposedly still coming out too. You know,
It's on the schedule.
It is on the schedule.
Yeah.
Ed,
I don't know. Like I said, I said what I liked about it. I'm not about to go into how Beast looks stupid.
no. You said
You know-
you're good.
You know what I mean? So like,
Don't trick yourselves.
Yeah, no.
You said nice things.
I must be hated by the chat. You do not understand. No, so yeah, it's not about that though. And I do like this mystery blonde is probably going to be the visual manifestation of the Phoenix Force talking to you, goading you into larger and larger acts to become this. Because like, as long as the Phoenix Force is hamstrung by Jean's personality, it cannot truly become what it is supposed to be.
Wouldn't it be funny if her name was M-Cron? Would you hate it? How much would you hate it?
My name is Melinda Cron.
You can call me
Crystal.
Hey, that is definitely who she is.
Yep.
Oh god, that is definitely who she is. You know what? If the movie does that, I'll love it. I will walk out of that and just be like, it's better than Logan, it's better than Deadpool, it is better than 4 minutes of X2, and it is better than that one Nazi hunting part of First Class that seems to be the only part that people remember, so they're like, it's a great movie. All right, story number 3, Knights of the Old Republic. Some kind of project of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is in the works. This is via Slash Film. So, Star Wars universe is only going to get bigger after Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker closes out the Skywalker saga this December. Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm president, in a somewhat uncharacteristically frank answer, confirmed that the long-rumored Knights of the Old Republic project is in the works. This is in an interview with MTV. She said, we talk about this all the time. Yes, we are developing something to look at. Right now, I have no idea where things might fall. This is starting to sound a little less frank and more Feige as I read it.
She's thinking, yes, Padawan.
But we have to be careful that there is a cadence in Star Wars that doesn't start to feel like too much. I love that sentence. I don't even care about the Knights of the Old Republic announcement anymore. I love the sentence that there's a cadence to Star Wars and we don't want to start to feel like there's too much. Chef's kiss. Like,
Marketplace kind of spoke on that a little.
I mean, yeah, it absolutely did. And I'm glad that it did because there was...
Well, this is her responding to, you said there was too much oregano, noted. You know what I mean? You sit your meal back a little bit and then, all right, how about this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that realization, that sentence. But so her confirmation that there is a project in the works. People have obviously immediately connected that to the rumors that the Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys, are doing their own Star Wars trilogy. I think I'll try to stop being way too clever for a second and just put on my Wizard Magazine casting hat and be like, yeah, the guys that did the medieval fantasy show would do the medieval fantasy Star Wars show like that. Sure, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That could be absolutely cool. We also, it could be a show, it could be movies, it might just be another game.
But say it could be game.
Yeah, I mean, those games are pretty rich.
Yeah, the Knights of the Old Republic games were dope. I have an old iPad that I got for free from like a work thing, and the only thing it does is have the first Knights of the Old Republic game on it, and that's all I do with it. That is its purpose, is to just play that as many times as I can.
Well, no, I had a PlayStation 2 that was a GTA 3 machine.
Understood. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh, you're the one I sold all those video games to.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Well, no, but the thing I do like about this is the thing a lot of people, myself again, must be hated. The thing I don't like about Game of Thrones is like all this frank, like assault and just terror, and then a dragon. Yay! I don't know that I don't know that peanut butter and that chocolate mix for me. And I think giving these guys a chance to do this epic story without all this heavy jazz. I mean, of course, there's probably going to be somebody's going to be a slave to somebody. But you're a slave to a robot, and I just think a little lighter Game of Thrones touch. I think that'd be chef's kiss for me. I would love that.
It's also, you got to remember, they're basing it on a book that is very, very dark and has all of those elements in it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do when they're not, when it's not the incesty, stab, head chop off book, and see what they do and how they're able to.
Because they're obviously great at crafting and expanding even a fantasy world. Because I know people have read the books, and some people I know that have read the books and aren't stupid like the show because of some of the things that.
And aren't stupid.
All the buttons.
Dan, can I check one of your 2 watches to see where we're going?
No, obviously, everybody says the book is better than everything. Obviously, everybody says the book is better than everything because you created the book, guy or gal.
Yeah.
You cast it. You lit it. You designed the architecture. So obviously, the book is better. But a lot of people like the way that the adaptation has gone in the Game of Thrones show, and I love those guys' story sense. A lot of the times, the choices that they make are really great. So to have that on a mythic background that isn't quite so heavy,
and it's interesting.
I think that'd be great
because obviously there's like a ton of look. This isn't like a small idea they visited once and then like stepped away from. Like there's a lot of Knights of the Old Republic stuff. There's a lot of lore there, but Disney also took like a lot of what came before and kind of went, it's a legend, and they sort of pick and pull and cherry pick as they want, which I'm down with and I think is a good idea. So I think it'll be cool to see those guys go to the lore toy box without being beholden to it.
Yeah, looking at the Gilgamesh or the Samson or the Heracles of the Star Wars universe, sign me up. I'm right there.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. I think that'll be really cool.
I'm happy you actually signed when you did that.
Oh, no.
You actually did. Ed actually signed that script. And we're putting it on eBay. We're putting it on eBay. Folks, that's our show. You feel good?
We do. I do. How do you feel?
No, I agree with you. I think we do.
I apologize.
No, it's totally fine. Dan speaks for us all. Guys, that's our show. Make sure you like, subscribe. We sent Sasha Pearl Raver to go talk to the cast of La Rona at their junket. Check it out.
And she will come for them. Who? La Llorona.
All right, guys. Fan questions, here we go.
All right.
All right. What is your greatest fear?
Having to do more than one take.
Not being able to help my daughter if I can.
My irrational fear is probably a shark in the ocean based on Jaws.
Totally.
I know.
Sometimes
I think they're
pools,
beautiful
too.
and magical and should be protected, but also I'm in the water with them. I know I'm powerless.
Absolutely. Other than La Llorona, what are some of your favorite ghost stories or spooky folklore?
Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like the idea
Chupacabra.
of the Chupacabra. I actually played him on the X-Files, so I have a little history with him. But yeah, the Chupacabra.
Yeah. No. For me, really, it's La Llorona. It's just the most. That's the one I grew up with. She's as big as it gets.
I know, it's funny because there's a thing going on with my kids, Bloody Mary, and that was popular when I was a kid, and now it's popular with kids right now, and I feel that it just sort of never goes away. So I feel like that's similar to La Llorona for some people, like it just keeps coming up generation after generation.
Do you let your kids do it?
No, but somebody at school did it, and it just sort of went like wildfire through all the kids,
wow.
and the kids were all terrified.
Wow.
So this is a movie that's going to freak out generations of people.
Sure. Well,
Is there a movie that freaked you out, Jaws obviously, that you still carry with you?
Oh yeah.
What
The
were they?
Exorcist.
Oh yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah, Poltergeist.
I couldn't see horror movies after that, until now.
Poltergeist makes it hard to watch television.
Yeah, Poltergeist was
You
tough
turn
too.
it
and
on.
yeah, when the static would come on, or
Right.
or clowns, it just changed your opinion of toy clowns forever. You just couldn't look at them the same.
Forever, that's true.
The curse of La Llorona.